Hello, good morning. Uh, Welcome to today's daily cyber briefing. I am your host, Rich Benfield, standing in for Stephen Ridgway, and it is 8:30 in the morning on Tuesday, the 7th of October? Oh, it's hard to tell. Anyway, okay, your headlines for today. Chinese cybercrime group runs global SEO fraud ring using compromised IIS servers. A 13-year-old Redis RCE flaw lets attackers seize complete host control. Hackers launch leak portal to publish data stolen from Salesforce instances. Red Hat data breach escalates as ShinyHunters joins the extortion. And finally, Microsoft. Critical GoAnywhere bug exploited in ransomware attacks. So, Chinese cybercrime group runs global SEO fraud ring using compromised IIS servers. Let's talk about that. So, cybersecurity researchers have shed light on a Chinese-speaking cybercrime group codenamed UAT 8099 that has been attributed to search engine optimization fraud and theft of high-value credentials, configuration files, and certificate data. The attacks are designed to target Microsoft Internet Information Services, that's IIS, with most of the infections reported in India, Thailand, Vietnam, Canada, and Brazil, spanning universities, tech firms, and telecom providers. The group was first discovered in April 2025. Their targets are primarily mobile users encompassing both Android and Apple iPhone devices. UAT 8099 is the latest China-linked actor to engage in SEO fraud for financial gain. As recently as last month, ESET revealed details of another threat actor named Ghost Redirector who has managed to compromise at least 65 Windows servers primarily located in Brazil, Thailand, and Vietnam with a malicious IIS module codenamed Gamshen to facilitate SEO fraud. UAT 8099 manipulates search rankings by focusing on reputable high-value IIS servers in targeted regions, Cisco Talos researcher Joey Chen said. The group maintains persistence and alters SEO rankings using web shells, open source hacking tools, Cobalt Strike, and various bad IIS malware. Their automation scripts are customized to evade defenses and hide activity. Once a vulnerable IIS server is found, either via security vulnerability or weak settings in the web server's file upload feature, the threat actor uses a foothold to upload web shells to conduct reconnaissance and gather basic system information. The financially motivated hacking group subsequently enables the guest account to escalate their privileges all the way to the administrator and use it to enable RDP. UAT 8099 has also been observed taking steps to plug the initial access pathway to maintain sole control of the compromised hosts and prevent other threat actors from compromising the same servers. In addition, Cobalt Strike is deployed as the preferred backdoor for post-exploitation. In order to achieve persistence, RDP is combined with VPN tools like SoftEther, VPN, EasyTier, and Fast Reverse Proxy. The attack chain culminates with the installation of bad IIS malware, which has been put to use by multiple Chinese-speaking threat clusters like Dragon Rank and Operation Rewrite. UAT 8099 uses RDP to access IIS servers and search for valuable data within the compromised host using a graphical user interface tool named Everything, which is then packaged for either resale or further exploitation. It's not currently clear how many servers the group have compromised. The bad IIS malware deployed in this case, however, is a variant that has tweaked its code structure and functional workflow to sidestep detection by antivirus software. It functions similarly to Gamshen in that the SEO manipulation component kicks in only when the request originates from Google, i.e. user agent is Googlebot. Bad IIS can operate in 3 different modes: as a proxy, which extracts the encoded embedded C2 server address and uses it as a proxy to retrieve content from a secondary C2 server; as an injector, which intercepts browser requests originating from Google search results, connects to the C2 server to retrieve JavaScript code, embeds the downloaded JavaScript into the HTML content of the response, and returns the altered response back to redirect the victim to the chosen destination, which is normally unauthorized adverts or illegal gambling websites. An SEO fraud, of course, which compromises multiple IIS servers to conduct SEO fraud by serving backlinks to artificially boost website rankings. The actor employs a conventional SEO technique known as backlinking to boost website visibility, Talos said. Google's search engine uses backlinks to discover additional sites and assess keyword relevance. A higher number of backlinks increases the likelihood of Google crawlers visiting a site, which can accelerate ranking improvements and enhance exposure for the web pages. However, Simply accumulating backlinks without regard to quality can lead to penalties from Google. Okay, so the upshot is if you are running IIS servers, you need to check that your configuration is secure. You need to monitor for bad IIS malware. You need to lock down your RDP ports and a whole bunch of other stuff. We will put a link to this article in the socials. And within this article, there's an attack chain diagram, which you can then use to basically gather indicators of compromise so that you can monitor these things properly. Okay, moving on. Here's a good one for you. 13-year-old Redis RCE flaw lets attackers seize complete host control. So this is, a remote code execution vulnerability discovered in Redis. Redis is a widely used in-memory data structure store, and it has sent shockwaves through the cybersecurity community. The flaw, designated CVE 2025-49844 and dubbed Redis Shell by researchers, carries a maximum CVSS 3.1 severity score of 10.0 and affects all Redis versions worldwide. So this is a big deal. For those of you who aren't aware, Redis is used extensively in web servers all over the world. So this is actually a huge deal. With a severity score of 10, this is something that needs to be fixed sharpish. So Wiz Research uncovered this devastating vulnerability that exploits a use after free memory corruption bug embedded in Redis source code for approximately 13 years. The flaw allows authenticated attackers to send specially crafted malicious Lua scripts that escape the Lua sandbox environment and achieve arbitrary native code execution on the Redis host system. Don't forget, this affects all versions of Redis. The vulnerability's impact extends far beyond simple data breach scenarios. Successful exploitation grants attackers complete control over the host system, enabling them to exfiltrate sensitive data, deploy ransomware or crypto miners, steal credentials, including SSH keys and IAM tokens, and establish persistent backdoors for lateral movement throughout cloud environments. What makes this vulnerability particularly alarming is Redis's ubiquitous presence in modern infrastructure. As I said, it is everywhere. Security researchers estimate that Redis operates in approximately 75% of cloud environments, serving critical functions including caching, session management, and publish-subscribe messaging systems. The vulnerability severity becomes even more concerning when examining current deployment practices. Wiz research analysis reveals approximately 330,000 Redis instances currently exposed to the internet, with about 60,000 of these installations lacking any authentication configuration whatsoever. The official Redis container image, used by 57% of cloud environments according to the research, does not require authentication by default. This widespread deployment pattern creates an especially dangerous scenario where internet-exposed, unauthenticated Redis instances become trivial targets for remote attackers. Organizations operating Redis instances in internal networks face elevated risks as well. Many internal deployments prioritize convenience over security, often running without proper authentication mechanisms. This creates opportunities for attackers who have already gained initial network access to exploit the vulnerability for lateral movement and privilege escalation. The Redis shell exploitation process follows a devastating attack chain. Initially, attackers send malicious Lua scripts targeting the use after free vulnerability. These scripts successfully escape Redis's Lua sandbox environment and achieve arbitrary code execution capabilities on the underlying host system. Once system access is established, attackers can execute a comprehensive compromise strategy. This includes stealing authentication credentials such as SSH keys, IAM tokens, and certificates stored on the system. Attackers frequently install malware, cryptocurrency miners, or establish reverse shells for persistent access. Redis officially published a security advisory on October 3rd, 2025, alongside patched versions addressing the vulnerability. The disclosure timeline shows the vulnerability was initially reported during the Porn to Own Berlin on May the 16th. 2025, highlighting the extended timeframe organizations had unknowingly operated with this critical flaw. The CVE 2025-49844 vulnerability represents one of fewer than 300 vulnerabilities assigned the maximum CVSS score in the past year, making it the first Redis vulnerability rated as critical severity. Organizations worldwide must treat this as an urgent security priority, requiring immediate remediation efforts. Right, okay, so the patch has been released. Go ahead, test it, patch it. Sharpish, okay? Right, next up, hackers leak... no, sorry, my mistake. Let's start again with the correct headline. Hackers launch leak portal to publish data stolen from Salesforce instances. Okay, so the hacker collective styling itself as Scattered Lapsus Hunters with a dollar sign in there in the word lapsus. An alliance echoing elements of ShinyHunters, Scattered Spider, and Lapsus has launched an extortionware portal to pressure victims into paying for delisting and purported deletion of stolen data. The group's leverage centers on Salesforce datasets, reflecting months of intrusions achieved via social engineering, OAuth abuse, and downstream supply chain compromise. UpGuard and other analysts have tracked the campaign's evolution from voice phishing that weaponized Salesforce integrations to a sweeping data theft operation tied to Salesloft's Drift ecosystem and OAuth tokens that unlock broad API access across targets. Google's threat intel team has separately documented the attackers' use of persuasive phone pretexts and fraudulent integrations to gain privileged access to Salesforce instances. Okay, there's a timeline of events in here. Yeah, just read it. We'll put the links in the socials. I mean, it's not terribly interesting. You know, we're talking what Salesloft's corporate GitHub environment got compromised, and then drifted into their AWS environments. They located OAuth keys, so on and so forth, and then valid OAuth tokens were actively used to pull Salesforce data from the victims, so on and so forth, and then. Most recently, though, this is what brings us up to date where it starts to get interesting. The group unveils a Tor-hosted extortion portal listing alleged Salesforce customers and claiming volumes of exfiltrated data, setting an October the 10th deadline for payments and threatening publication if demands are unmet. So in 3 days' time, we may or may not see something happen in that space. Some observers note references to a clear web mirror, but the core site functions on the Onion network. So the leak site catalogues organizations and the proportion or volume of Salesforce data purportedly stolen, weaponizing the business-critical nature of customer pipeline and deal metadata. This is a strategic choice. Salesforce's strength, broad third-party integration and flexible APIs, also expands the attack surface when user trust and OAuth scopes are abused. The lesson is stark. User risk and integration governance now sit at the heart of enterprise data defense, and especially GitHub and AWS secret hygiene. OAuth scope minimization, least privilege, token rotation, and continuous integration monitoring are no longer optional controls. The two dominant intrusion paths were tricking users into approving malicious integrations with expansive read scopes and compromising a legitimate integration provider, which was Drift, then abusing discovered OAuth tokens to harvest data from connected Salesforce tenants. Salesforce has stated there is no indication of a platform compromise or vulnerability exploitation, which aligns with evidence pointing to social engineering, OAuth token abuse, and supply chain weaknesses rather than a core Salesforce flaw. Yet the platform remains central to impact because of the volume and sensitivity of data it aggregates and exposes via powerful integrations. Next, Red Hat data breach escalates as ShinyHunters join the extortion. Enterprise software giant Red Hat is now being extorted by the ShinyHunters gang with samples of stolen customer engagement reports leaked on their data leak site. News of the Red Hat data breach broke last week when a hacking group known as the Crimson Collective claimed to have stolen nearly 570 gig of compressed data across 28,000 internal development repositories. This data allegedly includes 800 customer engagement reports, which can contain sensitive information about a customer's network, infrastructure, and platforms. The threat actors claim to have attempted to extort Red Hat into paying a ransom to prevent the public disclosure of the data, but received no response. Red Hat later confirmed to Bleeping Computer that the breach affected its GitLab instance, which was used solely for Red Hat consulting on consulting engagements. Soon after the breach was disclosed, threat actors known as Scattered Lapsus Hunters sought to make contact with Crimson Collective. Yesterday, Crimson Collective announced that it had partnered with Scattered Lapsus Hunters to utilize the newly launched ShinyHunters data leak site to continue their extortion attempts against Red Hat. Okay. So, ShinyHunters, they do extortion as a service. I mean, it was recently speculated that they were running extortion as a service, but now it's been confirmed essentially with Shiny Lapsus Hunters. So the theory was based on the numerous attacks conducted by various threat actors, all of which were extorted under the ShinyHunters name. And this includes those who are targeting Oracle Cloud and PowerSchool, of course. Oracle Cloud been all over the news as well recently. Conversations with ShinyHunters further supported that theory, as the group had previously claimed not to be behind a particular data breach, but just acting as a broker of the stolen data. There have been numerous arrests of individuals associated with the name ShinyHunters over the years, including those linked to the Snowflake data theft attacks, breaches at PowerSchool, and the operation of the Breach v2 hacking forum. However, even after these arrests, new attacks occur with companies receiving extortion emails stating, "We are ShinyHunters." Today, ShinyHunters told Bleeping Computer that they have been privately operating as an EAAS, where they take a revenue share from any extortion payments generated for other threat actors' attacks. Everyone I've worked with in the past have taken 70 or 75%, and I received 25 to 30%, claimed the threat actor. With the launch of the ShinyHunters data leak site, it appears that the threat actor is now publicly operating the extortion service. In addition to Red Hat, ShinyHunters is also extorting SP Global on behalf of another threat actor that claimed to breach the company in February 2025. Bleeping Computer had contacted SP Global at the time about the alleged breach, but was told that the claims were false and the company was not breached. However, the threat actors have now released samples of data on the data leak site, claiming they were stolen during the attack, and have also set an October the 10th deadline. So, October the 10th is going to be a big deal. Okay, so keep an eye on the cyber press then. Obviously, as things break, we'll get those in the daily cyber briefing as well. Okay. So, next up, and final article of this morning. Microsoft critical GoAnywhere bug exploited in ransomware attacks. A cybercrime group, tracked as Storm 1175, has been actively exploiting a maximum severity GoAnywhere MFT vulnerability in Medusa ransomware attacks for nearly a month. Tracked as CVE 2025-10035, this security flaw impacts Fortra's web-based secure transfer GoAnywhere MFT tool, caused by a deserialization of untrusted data weakness in the license servlet. This vulnerability can be exploited remotely in low-complexity attacks that don't require user interaction. Security analysts at the Shadow Server Foundation are now monitoring over 500 GoAnywhere MFT instances exposed online, though it's unclear how many have already been patched. While Fortra patched the vulnerability on September the 18th without mentioning active exploitation, security researchers at Watchtower Labs tagged it as exploited in the wild 1 week later after receiving credible evidence that CVE 2025-10035 had been leveraged as a 0-day since September the 10th. Today, Microsoft confirmed Watchtower Labs' report, stating that a known Medusa ransomware affiliate it tracks as Storm 1175 has been exploiting this vulnerability in its attack since at least September 11th, 2025. Microsoft Defender researchers identified exploitation activity in multiple organizations aligned to tactics, techniques, and procedures attributed to Storm 1175, Microsoft said. For initial access, the threat actor exploited the then 0-day deserialization vulnerability in GoAnywhere MFT. To maintain persistence, they abused remote monitoring and management tools, specifically Simple Help and Mesh Agent. In the next stage of the attack, the ransomware affiliate launched the RMM binaries, utilized NetScan for network reconnaissance, executed commands for user and system discovery, and moved laterally through the compromised network to multiple systems using the Microsoft Remote Desktop connection. The RDP client, which is mtsc.exe. During the attack, they also deployed rclone in at least one victim's environment to exfiltrate stolen files and deployed Medusa ransomware payloads to encrypt victims' files. In March, CISA issued a joint advisory with the FBI and the Multi-State Informational Sharing and Analysis Center, warning that Medusa ransomware operation had impacted over 300 critical infrastructure organizations across the United States. Together with 3 other cybercrime gangs, the Storm 1175 threat group was also linked by Microsoft in July 2024 to attacks exploiting a VMware ESXi authentication bypass vulnerability that led to the deployment of Akira and Black Bastard ransomware, which, if I remember rightly, were also quite a big deal at the time. Okay. To defend against Medusa ransomware attacks targeting their GoAnywhere MFT servers, Microsoft and Fortra advised admins to upgrade to the latest versions. Fortra also asked customers to inspect their log files for stack trace errors with the signed object.getObject string to determine if instances have been impacted. And don't forget, if this impacts you in any way, the links will be on the socials. You can read more, follow the links through to Microsoft and everyone else who have mentioned in this article for more details. Okay, that will do us for this morning. That's quite a lot to get through. So I hope you've enjoyed today's daily cyber briefing. Normal service, and maybe better service will be resumed tomorrow when Stephen Ridgway takes back over on the reins. Have a good day, and we'll see you soon. Take care.